Good afternoon, everyone. House Democrats had a very active August district work period. We held more than 1,000 different events all across the country, interacting with everyday Americans who we are privileged to represent. We talked about the economy, we talked about health care, and we talked about cleaning up corruption here in Washington, D.C. In this great country, America has become far too expensive. The cost of living is way too high. Donald Trump and House Republicans repeatedly promised to lower the high cost of living on day one. They have failed. Costs aren't going down. They're going up. Inflation is going up. Electricity bills are skyrocketing. Everyday Americans are being hit with increased health care premiums, co-pays, deductibles, and prescription drug prices. Housing costs have not gone down. They continue to go up. America is too expensive. The one big ugly bill remains deeply unpopular. In town hall meeting after town hall meeting after town hall meeting, House Republicans were unable to defend their signature so-called legislative accomplishment, because it turns out that ripping health care away from millions of Americans, ending Medicaid as we know it, closing hospitals, shutting down nursing homes, forcing community-based health clinics to shutter their doors, and failing to strengthen the Affordable Care Act are all deeply unpopular with Democrats, independents, and Republicans. House Democrats have a simple message for the American people. You deserve better. We're going to fight hard to lower the high cost of living. We're going to fight hard to fix our broken health care system. And we're going to fight hard to clean up corruption so we can deliver a country of the people, by the people, and for the people, as opposed to the type of country that we're seeing under Republican complete control of government, which is a country of the billionaires, by the billionaires, and for the billionaires. That's what the Republican one big ugly bill was all about. They passed legislation that hurt everyday Americans in order to reward their billionaire donors with massive tax breaks. Our message to the American people is clear. You deserve better. Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Leader. With the government funding deadline coming up, first of all, how closely are you aligned with Chuck Schumer, who had different strategies last time around? And can you imagine any scenario in which Democrats support a clean CR?
House Democrats and Senate Democrats are working closely together. I speak with Leader Schumer regularly, and we will continue to remain in close touch. We have all been very clear that we are willing to find bipartisan common ground in order to pass a spending bill, avoid a reckless Republican government shutdown, and meet the needs of the American people. But that spending bill has to be both bipartisan, a product of negotiation, and it's got to serve the interests of the American people in terms of their health, safety, national security, and economic well-being. The ball is in the court of the Trump administration and Republicans, because if they continue to proceed down the lane of trying to jam a partisan bill down the throats of the American people without working with Democrats in the House or the Senate, our position will be the same as it was in March. We will not support a partisan spending bill put forward by Republicans that hurts everyday Americans.
So a clean CR is off the table?
Clean CR is one of the things that will be the subject of any four corners negotiation, but there has been no four corners negotiation.
Welcome back, Mr. Leader. The Speaker said the two of you spoke recently about government funding here. From a policy perspective, what is your red line?
We had an opening conversation last week about the importance of trying to find common ground where possible in order to meet the needs of the American people. But in that conversation, I also made clear we're not going to support partisan funding legislation, period, full stop. We're not going to find ourselves in a situation where Republicans at the 11th hour present a partisan spending bill that hurts everyday Americans, hurts children, hurts veterans, hurts seniors, and hurts the very people who this government should be helping. And then Republicans expect that we are just going to fall in line like they do all the time to Donald Trump's extreme agenda. That's not happening. We've been very open and honest about that publicly and in our private conversations. We had a general conversation as it relates to meeting the needs of the American people in a bipartisan way with a focus on the areas of the economic well-being of the American people, the health of the American people, the public safety of the American people, and the national security of the American people. Those are the four issue areas that have been a constant source of discussion. Thanks. We'll go to the back first. Thanks.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Can you just tell us what you know about what will happen next when it comes to the Trump's takeover of the federalization of the D.C. police, and what will happen moving forward here in Congress? Will Congress vote to extend that, and what conversations have you had?
We have not had any conversation with the Trump administration about any possible extension to the expiration of their emergency powers. That's not an extension that I support. It's my expectation that this week, when we meet as House Democrats, both in caucus and during any whip conversations that we have, we'll explore that issue further. But there's been no effort by the Trump administration to justify any extension of the emergency powers that were probably the result of Donald Trump trying to figure out a way to change the topic, given his deep unpopularity, the failing of this administration to do a thing about lowering the high cost of living, and the fact that the one big ugly bill is incredibly unpopular, and Republicans have been unable to do anything during the August district work period to reverse that reality.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Treasury Secretary Scott said over the weekend that President Trump is thinking about calling an emergency for declaring a housing emergency to give him special powers to lower the cost of housing. As you mentioned, there's an affordability crisis there. He's used this emergency power on crime. You just talked about D.C. crime. We've seen it on immigration. We've seen it on tariffs and trade. What are your thoughts about the president using emergency powers to unilaterally take action on issues that Congress has failed to do so? And do you believe that the housing crisis is so severe that he should be using emergency powers to address it?
It's not clear to me what emergency powers Donald Trump seeks to utilize or what his solution would be in terms of dealing with the housing unaffordability issue that is plaguing far too many Americans across the country. Donald Trump promised that he would lower housing costs on day one. Here's a suggestion for the Trump administration. Try to legislate. And maybe we can find common ground in order to get something done on behalf of the American people. The notion that Donald Trump and the administration would use emergency powers to address a housing crisis that has existed in this country since day one of his administration and he's done nothing about is a joke. And like many of the other efforts at utilizing emergency power, including most recently the effort to use a so-called emergency to justify the Trump tariffs, which are hurting everyday Americans, it will ultimately be struck down in court. That's the reality of how Donald Trump has approached governing during his administration. The American people know it, which is why he remains deeply unpopular at this point in time, and why they are running scared because they have no track record of accomplishment to run on. Manu?
Over the recess, you met with Zoran Mamdani. What's taking you so long to support him? What do you need to hear from him to get behind the nominee from your party?
Stay tuned.
Why can't you get, what is it, are you concerned about his politics?
Stay tuned. Thanks.
Thank you.
The election's 2 months away.
Several of Jeffrey Epstein's victims are on the Hill today and tomorrow. I'm just curious whether you're meeting with any of them, and if so, what you're trying to communicate to them.
I don't have a scheduled meeting with any of the victims, but as House Democrats, we will continue to support the effort to make sure that there is full and complete transparency, that every single wrongdoer is held accountable, and that the Trump administration is forced to stop hiding information from the families of the victims and from the American people. Thanks.
Thank you, Leader. Have you had any conversations about MVP support with members of Congress trading stocks and other financial assets?
I've answered that question multiple times, and the answer is yes. Thanks.
This is a timely question. Boring, but potentially important. The deadline for government funding falls on a Tuesday after our planned recess. In your discussions and in your way of going about this, especially talking with Speaker Johnson, is it the idea that you need a deal by that week before recess, or are you operating with the September 30th deadline? Because it changes how the negotiations work.
Yeah, we are operating with that September 30th deadline. In my view, House Democrats, led by Rosa DeLauro, are ready, willing, and able to find a bipartisan path forward beginning today. And there's more than enough time to reach an agreement that meets the needs of the American people. At the end of the day, Republicans are driving us on a path toward a government shutdown. And that is quite unfortunate because shutdowns hurt the American people. At the same period of time, we are not simply going to sign off on a partisan Republican spending bill that hurts the American people and continues their effort to assault health care in the United States of America. The week prior to the September 30th deadline, I will certainly be here in Washington, D.C. It's the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation annual legislative conference, and we are ready, willing, and able to sit down anytime, any place to find a bipartisan path forward. Thanks.
Congressman Jerry Nadler, in announcing his retirement, referenced the example set with President Joe Biden, and said that other members of Congress, there could be some change, could be good in the caucus. Do you believe that generational change is a good thing for your caucus?
I think that generational change has been underway in the House Democratic Caucus for the last several years, and it's something that every caucus member, regardless of which generation they find themselves in, has embraced. It's what the record shows, from leadership to rank and file members to committee positions and at all points in between. Congressman Jerry Nadler is a legend, and I had the opportunity to speak with him yesterday and thanked him for his service, friendship, and mentorship. He's been one of the leading voices for civil liberties, civil rights, and the Constitution in modern American history. And we look forward to continuing to serve with him over the next 16 months and continuing to stand on his broad, legendary shoulders.
Four of your members have now said that they will not be taking PAC donations for their campaigns. I'm just wondering if you agree with that.
I'm going to continue to raise money in the way that I've been raising money since my arrival in the United States Congress. I'm proud of the fact that the average contribution to my reelection campaign is $28 a person. That's the average contribution. If you want to write about anything, write about that, because it's lower than almost any other member of Congress in the country. And that's the way that I will continue to raise money. In fact, that average contribution of $28 per person is lower than any of the nominees who are running for mayor in New York City. Any of them, based on what was recently disclosed.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. You said that you would be opposed to having an extension of the National Guard's presence here. Since the crackdown began, carjackings have dropped 66%, and robberies have dropped 28%, and violent crime 15%. And you've been opposed to this since their presence here began, but are Democrats finding themselves on the wrong side of this issue at all with such reports? You know, I mean, they're a bit beneficial.
I had a very good conversation with the mayor of the District of Columbia. I'm going to continue to support her position. Every single area of criminal activity that you mentioned was on the way down prior to the arrival of the National Guard. I'm going to continue to personally support the Metropolitan Police Department of the District of Columbia. I'm going to support the Chicago Police Department, the New York Police Department, and police officers who protect and serve all across the country. And if those local police departments conclude that they want some support from the federal government, then I support that effort by those local police departments to partner with the federal government. It's as simple as that. Donald Trump is not going to get away with lecturing anybody about issues of law and order. His administration is the very definition of lawlessness and disorder. He promised to lower costs on day one. You know what he did on day one? He pardoned hundreds of violent felons who brutally beat police officers when attacking the Capitol on January 6th. That's the Donald Trump record. And no matter how much he wants to distract the American people away from what he himself has done, the reality is his administration is the definition of lawlessness and disorder in every possible way. Those are the facts. Back.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffries. Republicans on and off the Hill have already started talks about a potential second reconciliation bill. Would something like that sour government funding talks further? And Democrats already begun speaking about how you guys could possibly throw up any roadblocks or oppose that effort somehow.
If we're going to go down the road of a second reconciliation bill, here's a suggestion. Cancel the health care cuts and save our hospitals. That should be the focus of a second reconciliation bill. It's something that Democrats will broadly support. Cancel the health care cuts and save our hospitals. Last question.
Can I ask you about the pocket rescissions issue? The White House last week unilaterally canceled $4.9 billion in foreign aid. And it doesn't look like Republicans in the Hill are doing anything about it. But even the Senate Republican committee chair, the Appropriations Committee chair, called it an unlawful act. What's your take? Is there anything Democrats can do? I think GAO is the only ones who could sue on it.
It's an unlawful act. It's my expectation that a court case will be brought against these so-called pocket rescissions, which undermine the national security interests of the American people, and ultimately, as has been the case over and over and over again throughout the Trump administration, the extremists will lose in federal court. Thank you.